Thanks for joining us for KSAT News at 9. I'm Courtney Friedman. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight. It has been 1 month since the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in Bexar County. We're taking a look back at how the situation has progressed in our area, and we'll be joined by the president and CEO of the San Antonio Economic Development Foundation for a discussion about the city's path to recovery. And we're going to hear from a respiratory therapist to learn more about that crucial role during this pandemic. But first, 3 more COVID-19 related deaths have been confirmed in Bexar County today. That brings the total number to 33. There are now 794 total deaths. That's up 22 from yesterday. 292 of these cases were contracted through close contact with someone who had already tested positive. 251 patients were infected through community spread. 166 cases are travel related. Right now, 88 patients remain hospitalized tonight. 37 are on ventilators and 135 people have recovered. Today, believe it or not, marks 1 month since the first COVID-19 confirmed case was in Bexar County. A lot has changed since then, and here's a look at what we've learned about COVID-19 in our community since March 13th.
We've gone from 1 case to 794 in just 1 month. On March 13th, the first case was reported. About 2 weeks later, there were 113 cases, and only 4 days later, Bexar County crossed the 200 mark. From there, it took only 2 days to 313 cases. Just 1 week ago, there were 456 cases in Bexar County. The first COVID-19 related death was reported about 3 weeks ago. Today, there are 33. 16 of those deaths, residents at Southeast Nursing and Rehabilitation, the nursing home with the COVID-19 outbreak. Over the past month, the city has started sharing more information with the public about COVID-19 patients, things like age, race, sex, and location. We know now that 40% of infections are among people under the age of 40. So far, no Bexar County patient under the age of 40 has died. The city also started sharing hospital and ventilator capacity with the public. Right now, 77% of ventilators and 43% of staffed hospital beds in Bexar County are available. We may soon be closer to an answer on a question so many people have been asking. When will San Antonio reach its peak? Mayor Ron Nirenberg says he hopes to have data available to share to the public tomorrow that will forecast when that could be.
Let's take a look now at COVID-19 cases in our surrounding counties. Community spread is now confirmed in Kendall County, which has a total of 12 cases, 1 in Fair Oaks Ranch and 7 in Bernie. Comal County is reporting an increase in cases and deaths. There are now 38 confirmed cases there and 6 deaths. Hayes County has 93 cases and 1 death. Guadalupe County lists 50 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Bandera County now listing a 2nd case. Meanwhile, Atascosa County has 9 cases, Medina County 13, and Wilson County is reporting 11. Taking a look at the COVID-19 cases statewide, there are now about 13,900 cases and 287 deaths. We reported last week Texas Governor Greg Abbott hinted at an executive order that would reopen some parts of Texas. Speaking at a news conference today, Abbott said loosening social distancing guidelines and other restrictions needs to be done in a safe and strategic way that does not allow another outbreak. He says later this week he will detail his strategy to reopen certain businesses. He says his plan will be aligned with medical analysis as well as strategies detailing which types of businesses should be allowed to open.
This is not going to be a rush to the gates. Everybody is able to suddenly reopen all at once. We have to understand that we must reopen in a way in which we are able to stimulate the economy while at the very same time ensuring that we contain the spread of COVID-19.
Also today, Abbott announced a $50 million small business initiative to help people struggling with the impact of coronavirus. This has been made possible by a partnership with Goldman Sachs and the Lift Fund. Applications for small business loans can be made right now at liftfund.com. They are the heroes in the fight against the coronavirus, respiratory therapists. These medical staff members operate ventilators, saving lives, making sure people can breathe. The CDC lists a main symptom of COVID-19 as shortness of breath. Severe complications from the virus can lead patients to have pneumonia in both lungs. Tiffany Huertas takes a look at respiratory therapists' roles in the hospital.
One of the complications these patients come in is severe respiratory distress. We're going to monitor their respiratory work of breathing.
It's not just doctors and nurses on the front lines of COVID-19. It's respiratory therapists too.
The staff knows how serious this virus is, but they are so willing to go help.
Luis Garcia, the respiratory manager at Baptist Medical Center in downtown, says when a patient is admitted into the hospital and has symptoms of COVID-19, respiratory therapists are notified right away. He says since it attacks the lungs, they are on the front lines ready to help patients breathe better. Normally, respiratory therapists would focus on
helping people who have lung disease. So we have somebody with a disease of any kind with respiratory. We're the front line to assist the doctor, assist nursing to make the patient feel better with the work of breathing.
With COVID-19 being such a severe respiratory virus and requiring so many of these patients that need additional supplemental oxygen, non-invasive ventilation, or to be mechanically ventilated as a life support mechanism, respiratory therapists have gotten a lot more publicity over the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Timothy Myers with the American Association for Respiratory Care says these healthcare professionals are trained extensively on how to use ventilators.
99.5% of mechanical ventilation done throughout the country is performed by respiratory therapists under a physician's order in a critical care setting.
Myers says there are about 150,000 respiratory therapists in the U.S.
I like to see them just breathe. I mean, that's what I live for. I love to see those people just get better.
For the 9, Tiffany Huertas.
The City of San Antonio has launched a Homeless Connections hotline linking people experiencing street homelessness to resources and mental health assistance. Since the hotline went live last Thursday, 75 calls have already been made. The city is currently working on outreach efforts to make sure this vulnerable population has the hotline phone number and knows what help is available. It comes at a critical time when homeless shelters have shut down intake, both to keep population numbers low and keep people safe from COVID-19.
What we're seeing right now is really folks who were sort of in a precarious state before, but now may be experiencing a little bit more of a difficult situation because of the virus, the pandemic. So a lot of calls are folks who have been living maybe week to week in a hotel, and now their income is dried up and they don't have a place to go.
The effort's been made possible thanks to partnerships with local nonprofits and churches. The Homeless Connection hotline is 210-207-1799. We have more information on KSAT.com. Turning to the latest COVID-19 numbers in the U.S., there are now 581,000 cases and more than 23,000 deaths. Globally, there are now 1.9 million cases and 119,000 deaths. That's according to Johns Hopkins. Let's turn now to the 9 at 9. Bexar County Sheriff's Corporal has been arrested on suspicion of DWI. More than 24 people are dead after tornadoes hit the southeast, plus a roundup of how COVID-19 is impacting communities around the world.
Here's tonight's 9 at 9. The U.S. Navy says a sailor who tested positive for COVID-19 on the USS Theodore Roosevelt has died. The sailor was admitted to the intensive care unit of a U.S. Navy hospital in Guam Thursday. Nearly 600 sailors on the ship have tested positive for coronavirus. The impact of the pandemic on the ship was at the center of a controversy that led to the resignation of acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly last week. Here at home, a Bexar County Sheriff's Office corporal arrested on Easter Sunday under suspicion of driving while intoxicated. Susan Palomo had been with the agency since 2004. She's been placed on administrative leave, and Sheriff Javier Salazar says his intention is to terminate her as soon as possible if she's convicted. Tornadoes in the southeast leave more than 30 people dead. Fatalities now being reported in Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, and Arkansas. Even though many homes have been destroyed, the response is different than it normally would be because of coronavirus. The mayor of Monroe, Louisiana, says he's hesitant to designate shelters for people displaced.
Normally, we would talk about opening shelters. Right now, shelters are the last resort because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Take a look at this. It's a slow-motion video of a glacier collapse in Alaska. One woman walking by says she heard ice cracking and decided to pull out her camera. Luckily, no one was hurt. Carnival Cruise Line extending its pause in operations through June 26th. It previously said it would halt cruises through May 11th. It also announced it's canceling all its sunrise cruises out of New York for the rest of the year. Good Morning America host George Stephanopoulos has tested positive for COVID-19. Stephanopoulos says he does not have any symptoms, says he's feeling great, and has not experienced fever, chills, headaches, coughing, or shortness of breath. His wife was diagnosed with coronavirus about 2 weeks ago. The White House Correspondents' Dinner has been rescheduled. It's now set for the end of August, right after the Republican National Convention. Members of the White House Correspondents Association say they talked with health officials before they made the decision. The dinner raises money for the organization and offers scholarships and awards for journalists. Sam Adams Brewery is expanding its program to help unemployed bar and restaurant workers. The company says its Restaurant Strong Fund is now being launched in 19 more states. Texas is one of those states. The goal is to give thousands of dollars to industry workers who lost their jobs because of the coronavirus outbreak. In Utah, U.S. Postal Service drivers and other volunteers have been delivering thousands of potted flowers. It's all thanks to a nursery in the state that had a lot of cancellations due to the pandemic. So instead of leaving the flowers to die, they had them delivered to nursing homes, veterans' homes, teachers, and hospitals. They've given out an estimated 27,000 pots. To read more about these stories, just head to KSAT.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. Meteorologist Sarah Spivey here. Today was absolutely beautiful. Low humidity, a crisp, chilly morning. I'm happy to report that we're gonna have a few days here of very nice weather, and that is a welcome change, especially since last week and during the weekend, we were really watching out for the potential for severe weather. So nice welcome changes, but let's go ahead and talk about the forecast. Unfortunately, I have to start with some bad news. That's the pollen count. Both oak and mold are high today, but if you can tolerate an oak allergy or mold allergy, go ahead and open up those windows in your house because, like I said, the weather is just going to be super perfect because of yesterday's front that moved through. Take a look at the time lapse today. Nothing but blue skies out there. The high temperature was 70 degrees. That's it. Our average high this time of year is 80, so a lot cooler than average. And if you're an early riser, you noticed the crisp chill in the air in the morning. Morning low of 46. So tomorrow, gonna be pretty similar temperature-wise to today, but the biggest thing that you'll notice is that we'll start off the day tomorrow with cloud cover. Almost overcast skies in the early morning hours, then we'll still be mostly cloudy right at around noon, but then in the afternoon, a decent amount of sun and a high temperature, a little cooler than today because of those clouds, right around 66. We'll have a northeast wind at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Take a look at our weather setup across the state of Texas. Can you notice something? Yeah, that's snowfall out in here, Amarillo. Really impressive to see snow in April, in the middle of April, anywhere, but especially in the panhandle of Texas. So very interesting there. And temperature is much colder up in the panhandle, below freezing. But all over the state of Texas, we were seeing a really cool day, unseasonably cool day. And we'll continue to really notice the chill in the air here in San Antonio, especially during the morning hours. This is a look at early morning lows, and you can see through Thursday, we'll have mornings in the upper 40s. So it's gonna stay chilly in the morning hours before humidity returns by Friday and Saturday, but the afternoon temperatures are going to be really tolerable. In fact, we won't get into the 80s again until the start of next week. So yeah, it's going to be beautiful. No real significant chance for rain either in the forecast, especially over the next 3 days. Plenty of sunshine in the afternoon. So if you can get out and go for a walk safely, maintaining a 6-foot distance, I'd say go for it. Even into the weekend, our rain chances are only going to be isolated at best. So enjoy the good news in the world. A little bit of nice weather here in San Antonio.
Take it, Sarah. Thank you. Now to some late-breaking news. We've just learned that a San Antonio firefighter has tested positive for COVID-19. That firefighter last worked April 7th and became symptomatic on April 10th. According to the department, contact tracing has begun to make sure that people who interacted with this firefighter are screened and tested if necessary. An update tonight on an experimental COVID-19 treatment. Last week, we told you about the first patient here in San Antonio to receive plasma with COVID-19 antibodies. Jimmy Hayden had been hospitalized with COVID-19 and was on a ventilator. A doctor told his wife, Ashley Hayden, about the experimental treatment, and they agreed to try it. The transfusion happened last Thursday, and Ashley says within a day or two, Jimmy showed signs of improvement and was even able to FaceTime with the family.
You know you've had the positive result and can donate this plasma. It's so important for all these other sick patients.
Ashley says she's hopeful her husband will be taken off the ventilator tomorrow, but there's no word on a confirmed release date just yet. If you have tested positive for COVID-19 and have recovered, South Texas Blood and Tissue Center is looking for convalescent plasma donors. To donate, you must be completely free of symptoms for 28 days. If you qualify and would like to donate, email COVID-19 at southtexasblood.org. We'll be right back in just a minute. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Every night on this show, we try to separate the facts from the fiction surrounding the coronavirus. This is when we bring your questions to the experts. Tonight, we are joined by Jenna Saucedo Herrera, San Antonio Economic Development Foundation head, and you are usually selling San Antonio. How has the transition changed? How is the San Antonio Economic Development Foundation transitioning because of the coronavirus and COVID-19?
You're right, Steve. I mean, 2020 is a very different year for all of us, and the EDF is no exception. So we have moved from selling the San Antonio community, as you mentioned, to better serving our San Antonio community. And what that means is we're no longer outbound marketing our San Antonio community and all of its assets, but rather we're focusing on our local businesses, primarily small businesses, on making sure that they can stay in operation and we can keep San Antonians employed and get San Antonians back to work.
What are you hearing from some of those small businesses and some of the employees of these small businesses that are probably in limbo at this point?
Yeah, Steve, the feedback varies across industries, but what I can tell you is that what remains consistent is, number one, these small business owners and really business owners of all sizes across a variety of industries, they're focused on cash flow, and they're focused on the safety and well-being of their employees. To keep folks employed and to continue to hire, you need cash in the bank to keep your operation afloat, and that's basically what they're most concerned with right now. And then, of course, trying to find the facts, right? You mentioned facts, not fear. So trying to find the central point for how can we get access to the federal monies coming down through the SBA? Where can we find different resources, and how do we even go about applying for these monies? So there are a lot of concerns, of course, but right now it's about getting that cash flow back up and running.
How much fear are you dealing with, and how much, we said fiction and things like that, how much of that are you dealing with? I mean, are you hearing people saying we're in a recession, or even we're going to hit a depression? I mean, are you trying to deal with those kind of things in a rational, point-by-point way?
I think the fear is centered on the unknown right now. Yeah. So I wish I had all of the responses there, but in all reality, it's all a matter of balancing the health aspects of this pandemic and then, of course, with the economic impact. And so we don't know how quickly we'll bounce back to full recovery. What I can tell you, though, is the unemployment claims are staggering. So just to put it into perspective, our March unemployment claims through Workforce Solutions Alamo, we're sitting north of about 56,000. Compared to February, the month prior, we were at 3,000. So that's over a 1,600% increase. Our partners over at the UTSA Small Business Development Center are quoting about a $15 billion economic contraction in 2020. So the short-term indicators obviously are devastating, but it's going to take time to figure out what the long-term indicators or the economic impact to our local economy will be.
And that kind of leads into what the next viewer question is. How have San Antonians been impacted? What did San Antonio's unemployment numbers look like in March. And you just told us the March figures, and we're talking not even a full month of March where these started to hit, correct?
That's staggering. So the last 2 weeks of March were actually when about 50,000 of those claims came in. So April is not going to look any better. But again, we are all rallying around getting San Antonians back to work and figuring out how we can leverage this time to upskill, get folks the right training for the specific growth industries. I'll dive a step further into that data and let you know that about 38% of those unemployment claims in March specifically, and this is for the greater Bexar County area, but about 38% of those claims were in hospitality or food accommodations. So again, trying to balance the health aspects of this pandemic with the economy present a significant challenge for us.
Now, I did notice that there was a report that somebody talked about Moody's ranking San Antonio as one of the most recession-proof cities in the country. I'm guessing you probably saw that same study, which is at least encouraging when you're talking about recovery and things like that.
It is. We have a resilient economy. So one of the reasons that we are quote unquote recession proof is because we have a diverse economy of a variety of industries. And that's helped us. You know, we're steady as she goes. We never really see kind of big dips or volatile swings on the upside either. But I'll tell you that this economic impact from the coronavirus pandemic is far stretching. I mean, it is impacting communities around the country. I will say, though, that in addition to that, in addition to our resilient economy, that we have a robust community of both public and private sector officials that are studying the impacts now so that we can move quickly from rescue phase that we're in today to recovery. And ideally, once we get to recovery, we're prepared and we can bounce back stronger than ever.
And we've talked about this next question a little bit. How have local businesses been impacted? I mean, and this isn't just small businesses. I mean, we're also talking about HEBs in one point, HEB looking to hire people, Amazon looking to hire people. I mean, there are companies out there that this is affecting just in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Every business is impacted. Valero just announced some impacts to them today as well. And then, of course, beyond the financial impacts, I mean, think about HEB's supply chain and their systems being tested right now. So every employer across the San Antonio community has deployed their business continuity plans. And it has been interesting to see how organizations like HEB and Valero and USAA have really stepped up right now to not only manage their existing operations, but Steve, just the numbers I can count from corporate philanthropic donations are at about 11.5 million.
Wow.
So all of those different entities, they're taking care of their employees, they're taking care of their own, they're taking care of their customers, but they're also giving back to our nonprofit community that's on the front line. I mean, think about the food bank and what Eric Cooper is dealing with, and Meals on Wheels and Haven for Hope. So it's been great to see our corporate community step up as well in this time of need.
What do you think San Antonio's recovery will look like? That's the next question that we have.
Well, I sure hope it's quick. Again, resilient and diverse economy makes for solid rebounds. If you look at different countries and how China has responded and different countries are bouncing back that quickly, I hope that we look the same. But I think it'll be an even playing field. So where we stacked up with different communities previously, as you mentioned, we were in the business of attraction, and we had a totally different comp set heading into this pandemic situation. And I think that going forward, we'll be comparing ourselves to different communities, and the starting line will be equal, so to speak. So I hope it's a quick recovery, but we've got to work through with the mayor and the judge specifically what does that look like, what protocols and what measures need to be in place to ensure that we can move forward in a safe way, right? Because the health and safety of San Antonians is the most critical thing for us to focus on. And obviously we need to make sure that we can keep people employed and get San Antonians back to work.
Final question from our viewers tonight. Some argue that we need to reopen the economy. Some say we can't because it's such a public health risk. Where do you come down on this whole thing?
I think it's a balance. And if I had all the details, and I'm sure the mayor and judge had all the details, they'd be able to answer that directly. But suffice it to say that we are working with the governor and his team and figuring out what protocols need to be in place so that we can open up as quickly as possible and get our small businesses back to their new norm. But it's hard to say I mean, we're expected to peak in the coming weeks, and we've seen what that peak looks like for communities like New York and elsewhere in the Bay Area. And so we've just got to be focused again on the health and safety of San Antonians. And then ideally, the work that we're doing now behind the scenes is preparing us to reopen the economy very soon.
I want to give you the final word tonight. Tell me your message to our viewers that are watching right now.
Steve, I'd say the message is that we will get through this, that San Antonio is resilient. We are strong, we are caring, and I think that we are rallying together better than I've ever seen this community rally. And we'll bounce back strong, we'll bounce back quick, and we're going to be better for having dealt with this.
And there's hope out there through the Small
There's
Business
hope.
Administration and other things.
There is, yes. In fact, thank you for prompting me there. For all the small businesses out there, we need to make sure that if you aren't connected with any sort of SBA relief, that you get a hold of your bankers, your CPAs, and you make sure that you have applied for the payroll protection program and some other SBA loans that are out there, because we need to make sure that our businesses are taken care of. And the programs are there, we just have to take advantage of them.
Absolutely. Jenna Saucedo Herrera, the president and CEO of the San Antonio Economic Development Foundation. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Turning to tonight's top stories, if you've left your house lately, you've probably noticed construction projects across town are still happening. A lot of people have sent us questions asking why construction work is still allowed while many other industries have been shut down due to stay-home work safe orders. According to Assistant City Manager Rod Sanchez, it's crucial for certain projects to continue. These projects include street repairs and building low-income housing.
As people are unemployed and working less hours, their incomes are less, so it's essential that we continue to build this type of housing so these people have a place to stay today and in the future when we get out of this crisis.
Sanchez also says that with many people staying home, this is actually the perfect time to work on construction projects. San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg and Justice Luz Elena Chapa held a digital town hall earlier today to answer some of the biggest questions local kids have about the COVID-19 pandemic. Among the questions those kids had, how will San Antonio prepare in case of another pandemic? And can I still ride my bike? You can see the answers to those questions and watch the whole town hall right now on KSAT.com. Bernie Sanders has officially endorsed Joe Biden's presidential campaign. The two appeared together on a live stream today to make that announcement. This comes less than a week after Sanders ended his own presidential campaign, which was centered around progressive policies like universal health care. Even under the stay-home work safe orders, we are allowed to leave our homes to complete essential tasks. But a lot of us are trying to minimize our time outdoors. The U.S. Post Office wants to remind everyone that you can mail and ship items without leaving your home. RJ Marquez has the tips in tonight's Adulting Hacks.
You don't have to go to the post office in order to use their services or buy their products. Most simple tasks can be done from the convenience of your home with or without a computer. Let's start with buying stamps.
You can go to USPS.com and choose from all types of different stamp designs and prices. The post office will deliver them right to your home. If you do not have a computer, you can ask your local post office or carrier to bring you a stamps by mail order form. Complete it and put it in your mailbox with a check. Again, the post office will bring your stamps to you. What if you need to send a package? You can order free priority mail and priority mail express boxes or other package supplies on the USPS website. The Postal Service will deliver those items straight to your home. For printing labels, go to the website and use Click and Ship. You can print a mailing label with the appropriate postage right from your computer. When you're ready to have the package picked up, head to the website and schedule a free carrier pickup. Make sure to let your local post office know where they can find the package or packages and the mail. A carrier will pick them up when he or she delivers your mail. This is a great way to keep social distancing and make sure you can continue to send packages. For the 9, RJ Marquez.
Coming up tonight on the Night Beat, more than 100 residents and staff members at Southeast Nursing and Rehabilitation are battling the deadly coronavirus. 16 residents have already died. Employees who worked there continue to share stories with KSAT Defender's Dylan Collier about what they saw there. A second healthcare worker has now come forward to raise concerns about what was happening inside the facility in recent weeks. A Southeast spokesman said the company instituted federal, state, and local guidelines to try to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But this nurse says that guidance was not always followed.
I did the job, and they know that. They know it, and they know I'm angry. I am angry. I am. I'm angry.
Tonight at 10, the nurse will detail specific incidents she says she witnessed.
Hi Courtney, 3 great trending stories for you today. First up, Somerset High School principal Justin Sanders wanted to surprise his top 10 students with their ranking, and so he personally went to each and every one of their homes and delivered them a cookie. So the cookie, they actually had to open it and find out what their class ranking was. Now, in the first time in 10 years, the entire top 10 of the entire class of Somerset High School was all female. So this is a great achievement for everybody who's at Somerset ISD and Somerset High School. And you can check out that story right now on KSAT.com. All right, next up, we have a list of the 11 places that are open right now in case you want to get some social distancing hiking going on. Now, a lot of us are going a little stir crazy in our homes, so we need to get some of that outdoor sun energy going on. So we have that list for you on KSAT.com. Now, some of those parks include Friedrich Wilderness Park, Eisenhower Park, Opie Schnabel Park, Cibolo Nature Center, which is in Bernie, a bunch of different parks that you can go visit, and they're still open. We have all the information right now on KSAT.com. Just check it out. And last up, if you're a big fan of the Tiger King Netflix docuseries, which has blown up since we've gone into the social distancing period, well, guess what? Netflix has another little gift for you. They have a reunion special that just dropped, and let me tell you, it is as crazy as the show. Now, because of social distancing, they couldn't actually have people interacting with other people kind of reunion show, but they got to do it through webcam, and Joel McHale is the one asking the question, so there's a lot of fun going on there, especially with a lot of craziness as well with the show. And you can check out more about that reunion special on KSAT.com right now, and of course, the special on Netflix. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for having me. Have a great one.
Well, we know the news can be hard to hear at times, especially right now, so we want to start ending our show by telling you something good. We do that every weekend evening and want to bring the positivity to the news at 9. And now we need your help. So please send us something good, a picture, a video, a description of an act of kindness, a quote, anything that can bring a little light to our community during this tough time. You can do that by emailing us at somethinggood@ksat.com, and you just might see your message of positivity at the end of the news at 9 or our weekend Night Beat shows. We look forward to hearing from you. That's it for the news at 9 right now. Night Beat starts at 10.